Hi there, just wanted to do a few examples of multiplying with decimals to follow up the video that we watched in our lesson. So here is our first example. We have the question, what is 5 times 12.86? Now you can set this question up either way with the 5 on the top or the 12.86 on the top. I prefer to have the decimal on the top, but it doesn't matter. So here we are. 12.86, and we're going to multiply that by 5, and there is my decimal. It's a little hard to see. Okay, so just following the standard algorithm for multiplying multi-digit numbers. So we have 5 times 6 is 30, and then 5 times 8 is 40, plus the 3, carry the 4. 5 times 2 is 10, and 4 is 14, and the 1 goes here. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And so right now we have the number 6,430, but we can see that we have 2 decimal places in use here. So we're going to move that decimal 2 places to the left, and our answer will be 64.30. And it's always a good idea to look back and say, well, what would 5 just times 12 be? And 5 times 12 is 60. And so if we have 64.3, that's pretty close. So I would say that's a good answer, and I'm pretty confident that that is the right answer. Let's try another example. This one's a much bigger number, so let's see what that would look like. So again, as I'm writing this out, and I also like to have that decimal on the bottom, I'm thinking, well, if I just ignored this decimal for now and thought, well, what is even 3 times 500? It should be somewhere around 1,500. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for after I multiply this through. So 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1. 4 times 3 is 12, carry that 1. And 4 times 5 is 20 plus 1. There we go. And I'm going to put the 0 here. Now, last time I did put the decimal on the top. You'll see here I put it on the bottom. I just like to have the fewer digits on the second number. It's really up to you how you do that. It's just a preference. I'm just going to get rid of these ones so I don't confuse myself. So here, now I've moved over a place value for the 3, so I put my 0 there. So 3 times 4 is 12. Put that 1 up there. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, and the 1 goes here, and that's 15 and 6. And I'm going to add those up just as we normally would. And there we go. So I could look back and say, okay, well, I have 1 decimal place, so my decimal is going to go over 1. And also, I could just look over and say, well, it's supposed to be around 1,500. So even if I forgot to count up my decimals, I should be able to figure out where my decimal would go based on the fact that this needs to be somewhere close to 1,500. So 1,814, 814.6 is my answer. Okay, one more quick example, and then we'll set you off to your work. So here now I have 2 decimals, and they're the same length, so it really doesn't matter at all which one I put on the top. And 4.05. So a few more places here. So 5 times 2 is 10, and 5 times 0 is 1, and 15 here. And so this is a 0, so I'm not even going to bother multiplying that through. I'm just going to move over to the 4 here. So I'm going to put 2 zeros in. Okay, so if I had just left the 1 0, everything here would just be 0. So I'm just going to skip over to the 4, which is why the 4 is 2 place values over from the 5, so I put 2 zeros in. So that would be 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 0 is 0, and 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, and again, just add this up. I don't know why I put that there. 13, 2, and 12. Okay, so that's a lot of digits. And really, when I look at this, well, what's 4 times 3? 12. So this should be fairly close to 12. So I would think it's supposed to go here, so that it's pretty close to 12. And if I go back to the top, I count. I have 4 numbers behind the decimal. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the right spot. So this would be equal to 12 decimal 2, 3, 1, and I don't even need to have that 0 on the end. So that is the answer. This was certainly the more confusing of the examples, but it's pretty straightforward. So you could have 2 strategies. You could estimate where should this multiplication be approximately, and then just place the decimal that way, or count your number of digits behind the decimal for both factors, and then count the decimal place that many places to the left. If you have any questions about today's work, feel free to email me or post in the discussion board.